announcing my run for President of the United States.
It's good to see you guys. It's good to be back. You ready to talk some truth? Let's get real. I'm gonna do a little bit of this, and then I'm actually going to do something a little different. We're going to open this up, so get ready. A few of you, I'm going to ask you to come up here and take the second half of this 45 minutes. I'm not going to speak at you the whole time. We're going to have a conversation, all right? I want to get into something right away. I was going to give you guys a regular campaign speech. I'm not going to do that. Okay. Let's get to some truth. My views are a product of my experiences, all right? I didn't come out of the birth canal spouting conservative talking points. I was a libertarian for a while. I came to my views. And this is beyond the Republican Party. These are views of our America First movement based on what I have seen, my experiences. I'll tell you what I mean. If you had told me 3 years ago, when I was a biotech CEO, that the U.S. government had not told us the truth about what happened on 9/11, I would have told you that you were crazy. You're a fringe conspiracy theorist. Well, what do we know? In 2021, declassified documents that show us that the 9/11 Commission lied to us, the FBI lied to us, that the 42-year-old graduate student, a guy by the name of Omar al-Bayoumi, I'm not making this stuff up, this is hard facts now, available for the public to see, who received two of the first hijackers at LAX airport at the age of 42, housed them, helped them open their bank accounts, helped them get housing, helped them in this country, who say he was just an innocent graduate student who happened to meet them randomly at LAX airport. They told us that this guy was just a graduate student. We now know 20 years later that he was absolutely a Saudi intelligence agent, and that our own government, more importantly, lied to us about it. I would have said that was crazy. Now you fast forward. You told me 3 years ago, when I was a biotech CEO, that the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot in Michigan was an inside job of entrapment. I would have told you that was crazy. Crazy talk. Doesn't make any sense. Well, what do we now know? At the trial, years later, Turns out that the militia organization that supposedly organized it was at least a third infiltrated by Fed informants and feds. And the very people who were taken to trial were acquitted on grounds of entrapment. A guy who had to be given $5,000 credit cards to be able to be put up to do something that he otherwise wouldn't do. And then that the Detroit head of that FBI field office was the same person in late 2020 who Christopher Wray pulls in to become the D.C. field office head ahead of what happened on January 6th. Not making this up. You can't make this stuff up. So if you had told me 3 years ago that January 6th was an inside job of entrapment, I would have told you that that was crazy talk. Go into the facts, we realize that it's not. We have a government that has systematically lied to its people. This is the disease at the heart of our American democracy. Our democracy, they'll talk about what's going on in our democracy. We have a disease of dishonesty in our government. Take what continued to happen on January 6th. They released the footage of what happens when people respond after what they didn't show you, of rubber bullets and tear gas being foisted onto a crowd of what were mostly peaceful protesters. Then them rolling out the red carpet for people walking into the Capitol that day. That wasn't released. You have a government that the same one that told you that the COVID-19 pandemic began in a wet market in China. Now we know that our own government was using our own money to pay for the creation of a man-made virus in a lab that then came back to kill not only people in this country, but the same people who did it were the ones who engineered and paid through crony capitalism for the creation of the vaccines to fight that very man-made virus. If you had told me this 5 years ago, 3 years ago, I wouldn't have believed you, but I now have my views that are a product of my experiences. We got to open our eyes to see that disease of dishonesty. The same government that has lied to us about not only what happened on 9/11, but the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, about the basis for the 2008 bailouts and the financial crisis, about the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that never was, about the Hunter Biden laptop story, which we absolutely know to be true, about exactly what happened on January 6th, to the origin of COVID-19, to the Nashville transgender shooter manifesto, to how our own money is being spent in Ukraine today. We demand a government that tells us the truth again in this country. That's what we require. We can handle the truth. That's what it means to be a citizen of this country. So I say that on that last debate stage to a bunch of Republicans that are shaking in their boots. These are the things you're not supposed to say in the Republican Party even today. And then you get the mainstream media. You got this character, Van Jones, on CNN afterwards saying, this is the rise of an American demagogue who's going to live 50 years longer than Trump. This is dangerous. I am shaking. That's what he says. Just shut the fuck up. At a certain point, just shut the fuck up. Van Jones at CNN. We're done with it. And I think you got to ask yourself, why am I the only candidate in this race who can say certain things? That January 6th was the product of entrapment, that our money is being sent to persecute Christians from Ukraine to Armenia, something you're not supposed to talk about, to the fact that the climate change agenda is a hoax because it has nothing to do with the climate and everything to do with China. The only person in this race who can say that Ronna McDaniel should resign as the failed chairwoman of the RNC. Get the hell out of our house. We're done. The only person who can stay with a straight face that the likes of Nikki Haley or any other neocon is not coming within spitting distance of my administration as a VP or otherwise. We got to speak the truth of who we are. And that's the thing. You ever seen that movie, A Few Good Men? What does that guy say at the end? You can't handle the truth. No, we the people, we can handle the truth. We demand the truth. We require the truth. That's who we are. That's what it means to be an American. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to wage some pointless foreign war that is Iraq 2.0, Afghanistan 2.0, where we sent thousands of America's sons and daughters, people my age, to go die so corrupt politicians could make millions for themselves, spending billions, killing millions. This is wrong. It's not going to happen on my watch. The war I am going to wage. Thank you. It's our generation, your generation, that's going to end up in Ukraine or some other godforsaken place if we don't put an end to this. The war I'm going to wage is a war on our own shadow government right here in the United States of America. That's the war we require. And we are in the middle of a war in this country. You can't win a war unless you know that you're in one. It's not a war between black and white, as the media or Van Jones or whoever would teach you to believe. It's not a war even between Democrat and Republican. Frankly, both parties are corrupt. It is deeper than that. It is a war between the managerial class and the everyday citizen. It is a war between the Great Reset and the Great Uprising. It is a war between those of us who love the United States of America and our founding ideals, who believe that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, among these life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those of us who believe that you get ahead in this country not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. Those of us who believe in free speech, that you get to speak your mind as long as I get to in return. Those of us who believe that these ideals form the backbone of the greatest nation known to mankind. That even though we are an imperfect nation, as the left will remind us, we are founded on the pursuit of a more perfect union, the pursuit of liberty, equality, and justice for all, with one standard of the rule of law in this country for all Americans. That is one side of this war. And on the other side, we have this fringe minority who believes that your identity is based on your race, your gender, your sexuality, that if you're black, you're disadvantaged, that if you're white, you're privileged, who believe that we have to stop burning carbon in this country, even as we shift those same carbon emissions to places like China, who believe that maybe we can use our own military to protect somebody else's border in God knows where halfway around the world. But somehow if you use our own military to protect our own border, somehow that means you're racist or you're xenophobic or you're a bigot. And by the way, if you disagree with any of what I've just said, that automatically means that you're a homophobe or a transphobe or a racist or a climate denier, at a point in our history where there's no greater damnation than to be called one of these things, which has created a new culture of fear in our country. And that is the other side of this war. I call this a war. I want you to understand this. I'm not using this word lightly. I call this a war because there's no middle ground here. You see, I'm debating tax rates on a given year, fine. We can have that debate, but there's no middle ground in this war. Either you believe in merit or you believe in group quotas. You cannot have both. Either you believe in free speech or you believe in censorship. You cannot have both. Either you believe in American exceptionalism or you believe in apologizing for who we are as a country. You cannot have both of those things at the same time. And right now, we need leaders who will lead us to victory in this war. That requires somebody who knows what time it is, that you're in a war. You can't win one unless you're asleep, if you're asleep at the switch. It's going to require somebody who can't be bought and paid for by that system. I'll tell you, I'm a businessman. I did not come from this world of politics, and I thought it was going to be pretty ugly when I came in here. About a year in now, I got to tell you, I was wrong. It is far uglier than I ever imagined. Every one of these politicians basically is dancing to the tune of their biggest donor. All right, in my case, that biggest donor is me. I'm not going to be somebody's circus monkey, somebody's pawn on a chessboard. Sorry, we're not playing that game. I'll be really honest with you. I would rather lose this election and speak the truth than to win by playing some carefully crafted snakes and ladders and being somebody's slave. Not going to be somebody's slave, I'm sorry. But the reason I'm here, I came here from Iowa to be here for a reason. I wasn't going to miss this when Charlie called me. I'll tell you why. It is going to take leaders from the next generation with fresh legs to lead this country forward. That's what it's going to take our America First movement to the next level. That's what this is going to take. We got to answer who we are. What does it mean to be an American today? What does it mean to put this country first? We're all in for America First. But we got to answer what America is. What does it mean to be a citizen of this nation today? To me, it means we believe in the ideals that our founding fathers gave us 250 years ago. The 1776 ideals that set this country into motion. We're living in a modern American revolution right now. We live in a 1776 moment. It means we do believe that you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character. That's why I'm going to end affirmative action and racial quota systems in every area of American life. It is a cancer on our national soul, and we are done with it. What does it mean to be an American? It means we believe in the rule of law. And I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. That is why we will use our own military to secure our own southern border and our northern border too. That's what it means to stand for the rule of law in the United States of America. We will end federal funding for sanctuary cities across this country. End birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal migrants. It was never supposed to apply. And yes, we will make English the shared national language of the United States of America. We should not apologize for that. That is who we are. We have a common language to communicate our ideals to one another. It means that we, the people, create a government that is accountable to us, not the other way around. That the people who we elect to run the government ought to be the ones who actually run the government, not the shadow government and the three-letter agencies that run the show today. So whoever your next president is, if I'm your next president, if those people can't report, if I can't work for you all for more than 8 years, which I think is a good thing in this country, then neither should any of those federal bureaucrats reporting into me either. 8-year term limits for the bureaucracy instead of those civil service protections. We're done with it. 75% mass firing of every federal bureaucrat. Shut down government agencies that should no longer exist. From the failed Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, to the ATF, to the CDC, to the U.S. Department of Education. We're getting in there, and we will shut it down. That is how you revive the integrity of a republic. What does it mean to be American? It means we have elections we can trust and believe in. Single-day voting on Election Day as a national holiday with paper ballots, government-issued ID to match the voter file, and English as the sole language that appears on a ballot in this country. That is not controversial. That is common sense. That is what it means to be a citizen of this nation. We're going to get it done. USA, 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 USA. Damn right it is. USA first. These are not black ideas or white ideas. These aren't even Democrat ideas or Republican ideas. They're both corrupt. These are American ideals that we fought a revolution to secure in this country. I believe those ideals still exist, but we've lost it. You know, it's on the back of each of your coins. You take a look. What does it say? It says, E pluribus unum. It means from many, one. That's what we've lost in this country. We've been taught to celebrate our diversity and our differences so much that we forgot all of the ways we are the same as Americans. And that's what we've lost. And here's how we're going to get it back. It's going to be by all of us. It's not just me, not just anyone on this stage. It's going to be by all of us starting to speak the truth in the open again. We have a culture of fear in this country. Spread like an epidemic. Fear of losing your job. Fear of your kids getting a bad grade in school. Fear of becoming an outcast in your own community. And that culture of fear has replaced our culture of free speech in America. And if you ask me, what is the best measure of our country's health? How are we doing? It's not the number of green pieces of paper in our bank account. It's not even the number of ballots we cast every November. It is the percentage of people who feel free to say what they actually think in public. Right now we're doing poorly. The only way we're going to do it is all of us starting to speak the truth in the open again. The things I'm saying today, the things I'm saying in this campaign, they're controversial to the mainstream media, not because they're false, but because they are true. We got to stand up with a spine. Speak that truth. Speak it without apology. Speak it with a spine. Speak it with respect. But part of respect is that you respect your neighbor enough to tell him what you actually think. That is what this is about. Speaking that truth, we're going to do that today. God is real. There are two genders. Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity. Reverse racism is racism. An open border is not a border. Parents determine the education of their children. The nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to mankind. Capitalism lifts us up from poverty, not crony capitalism, but the real thing. There are 3 branches of government in the United States, not 4. And the U.S. Constitution is still the strongest and greatest guarantor of freedom in human history. That is the truth. We fight for the truth. We stand up for the truth. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what reunited us after the Civil War. That is what won us 2 world wars and the Cold War. That is what still gives hope to the free world. And if we can revive that dream over group identity and victimhood and grievance and safe spaces, then nobody in the world, not a nation, not a corporation, not a virus, not China is going to defeat us. That is what American exceptionalism is all about, and that is what we are about to revive to save this great country. Thank you for coming out today, guys. God bless you. God bless your families. And may God bless our United States of America. Thank you. I appreciate that, guys. We're going to open this up. We're just getting warmed up. Let's open this up. I want to hear from my friends here. We got some microphones running around. Going to change this up a little bit. I want to hear from you. We got
Q&A right here.
Where are they?
Hello,
Right
hello.
there.
Over to your left.
On your right.
Over to your left.
All right. Oh, there you go. Oh,
No, keep
My
going
man.
left.
we met earlier today. All right, for the first time. I like this.
How's everybody doing today?
Tell them who you are.
I want to tell you guys who I am. My name is Tariq Johnson. I was the lieutenant working at the Capitol Police at the time of J6. Some of you may have seen me. I was the guy that was wearing the red mega hat on January 6th. That was me. Yeah.
People
Also-
deserve to hear what you have to say, man.
Okay. Also, my job on that day, I was the lieutenant in charge of routine operations doing the counting of the election, counting of the electoral votes. Now, since you know who I am, sir, thank you for being here today. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Now, I've listened to multiple speeches you've given, and I can tell you have the ability to answer difficult questions. And that's all I give. And I'm going to ask you a hard one right now. I hope you're ready for it.
Okay. I'm all ears.
Okay, now, I'm going to tell you guys something that you may not know. January 6th was an absolute setup. 100% an absolute setup. So to give you a little bit of backdrop, now I can tell, sir, you have done a little bit of research on January 6th. So when it comes to intelligence, we now know J6 was an intelligence failure. The person employed at the Capitol Police, her name was Yogananda Pittman. She was in charge of intelligence. She had the report that basically laid out what was going to occur on that day. She got that report entitled 21 TD 159, so you guys should write that down. Now, this is the hard question right here, sir. She had that report back in December of 2020. So she had it 3 weeks before January 6th was to happen.
Yep.
So my hard question is this one. Now, I don't know if you want to broach this subject. If you don't, somebody can come grab the mic from me.
I don't tiptoe.
This is a hard one. And most people don't want to say this or don't want to touch this, but I'm
all
going to
ears.
see if you want to do it today.
I'm ready. I'm ready for you.
Okay. Here's the question. Now, she had the report and she did not give it to the chief of the Capitol Police, which would have given him what he needed to get National Guard support. What do you think about that information not being turned over to the chief of police? Do you think she just made a mistake? What do you think about that?
So based on the facts that I think you've had the courage to share as somebody who was a lieutenant Capitol officer that day, Capitol Police officer that day, and others, I believe that it looks not just like an intelligence failure, but an intentional intelligence failure. And I believe that we will release that for the entire public to see. And I will also make this commitment. Most presidents wait until their last day in office to issue their pardons because they don't want the accountability for it. On day one, January 20th, 2025, every peaceful protester that day will receive a pardon. That is justice in this country. One standard of the rule of law and a total release of everything the government actually knows, whether or not the Jan 6 Commission censored it. Thank you for your question, brother. I appreciate your courage in having the courage to speak in your position. Thank you.
Yes, I need to know if you will audit the Federal Reserve and in their charter.
The answer is, got to go further than that. I want to do because I don't want to wait till Congress. Here's what I get to do as U.S. president. Every president, whoever's in that office needs to know this. I think it takes a president who understands this with the Fed. 90% headcount reduction in year one. That's achievable right out the gate. And then peg the dollar to gold, silver, nickel commodities. Period. Don't ask questions. That the next U.S. president can do. Then you take step two and actually audit and end. That's exactly what comes next. Thank you.
Hopefully you'll end their charter. They've been running our country through our money supply.
Great question, and I love it.
Years.
Thank you. And I think that the charter starts with Congress. So the promises I make, those are the promises the president can keep. 90% headcount reduction, single mandate, peg it to commodities. That's how you get this economy back and end the corruption at the U.S. Federal Reserve. Love the question, my man. We'll come right here.
First of all, thank you so much for representing Gen Z in your foreign policy.
Thank you. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 22 years old.
Love it.
And you were saying that we need young leaders. My name is Cheyenne Kenny. I'm a college student at UC Berkeley, and I'm running for state assembly out of Oakland, California.
They could use you.
Thank you.
Nice. Love it.
My question is, do I have your endorsement?
Based on what you just told me with your courage, if you line up with the same values that I'm speaking on this stage, you have my endorsement right here. Let's talk after. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hi.
Love that.
My name's Jerry Navarro. I'm a Republican State Committeeman from Santa Cruz County at the border. I'm running for District 2 Supervisor. Illegal aliens should never be allowed to become citizens, period. Yeah. And their children either, because they came here illegally. Why are we giving them the opportunity to become citizens? Let's take the politics out of it from them and not allow them to become citizens. That way they won't come over here, and if they do, they cannot vote.
Totally right. And I want to say a word about this one, right? Because this is one where I accidentally landed on this third rail by just speaking an obvious truth. The Great Replacement theory is not some grand right-wing conspiracy theory. It is a basic statement of the Democratic Party's immigration platform, right? If somebody says something, you take their word for it. Look at Joe Biden 10 years ago, sitting with Mayorkas next to him, talking exactly about the replacement of the population, about the ethnic compositional change, what that would mean for elections. Stacey Abrams have talked about the blue wave driven by documented and undocumented migrants. You got left-wing press even talking about this in 2013, and then somebody made a call in and say, hey, guys, we got to stop talking about this out loud. So today you state that that then becomes a right-wing conspiracy theory. Here's the answer as a matter of policy, all right? Birthright citizenship does not apply to the kids of illegal migrants, and I'll explain to you why. All right, the left will tell you, the left's answer to this is, what about the 14th Amendment? Here's my suggestion to them. Read it, actually. It's a novel idea. They don't try it that often. The opening words of the 14th Amendment, here's what it says. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof shall be citizens. What are those extra words doing there? The kid of a Mexican diplomat who's born in this country does not enjoy birthright citizenship. Nobody thinks he does. So if a kid of a Mexican diplomat who's here legally and his kid doesn't enjoy birthright citizenship, surely somebody who crossed here illegally and has a kid doesn't apply to them either. It's basic logic. It's what the law says. But what you need is somebody with a spine. All it takes is a president right now with the spine to swear an oath to the Constitution, know what it says, and keep it. So starting in January 20th, 2025, somebody who's born in this country of illegal migrants will no longer enjoy birthright citizenship in this country. We should not apologize for that. That's how we get this done. And one more for you. We got to go further. Here's the harder. This is a hard question. You didn't ask me the hard one. What the heck are we going to do with all of the illegals who are already in this country? There's one answer. We stand for the rule of law. I can't look my kids in the eye and tell them they have to follow the rules if the government doesn't follow its own rules. Anyone who is in this country illegally will be returned to their country of origin. That is the correct answer for this country. We are founded on the rule of law, and we should not apologize for who we are. Thank you for that question. Go to the young man right here.
Vivek, it's been a dream of mine to meet you, to hear you speak in public.
Here we are.
Here we are. My name's Johnny Ramone. I'm from San Diego, California. And when I was at university, I went to a private Protestant university, and you spoke about merit, like the absolute rejection of merit. And what I saw as the central reason why the university there was failing was because there was an inversion of all of our hierarchies, every human hierarchy.
Yep.
Normally the people that are at the top, right, if you become wealthy, you tend to be a good person, oftentimes, or create a business and help people. But they would always put the people at the bottom of every hierarchy as if they were the most virtuous people. Mm-hmm. What is your response to such a assault on objective hierarchies?
Yeah, so look, I think that this is a philosophical question, actually, so I'll take you at the level you're asking it. What is merit? We use that word a lot. I use that word a lot. What does it mean? It means you earn it. It means, so to me, what is the core of it? It means that each of us has our own God-given gifts. Every person in this room has your own God-given gift. Doesn't mean we have the same ones. I wanted to play in the NBA. It didn't work out. Okay. And hey, that's all right. I found something else to do. Every one of us has our own God-given gift. Meritocracy is a system that allows you to achieve the maximum of whatever your God-given potential is without anybody or any system or any hierarchy or any government standing in your way.
That's merit. That's what we've lost in this country. So, you know, the word, I used to think merit was contained in America. Actually, America is named after Amerigo Vespucci. His grandfather was a man who he was named after, a man named Amalric. It's a Gothic word. Amal means work, and Rick means master. Master of work. That's what this country is actually founded on. You get ahead through your own hard work with your own God-given talents. You achieve whatever you can. You don't have to apologize for it. Our inner animal spirit, it has been domesticated. It has been tamed. It has been whipped into submission. This culture that celebrates victimhood and penalizes excellence, or our culture of excellence has leapt oceans to lift up places like China. When we rally behind the cry to make America great again, I think what we rally behind is the cry to pursue excellence unapologetically in this country. That's what makes America great. That's what makes America itself. Great question, my man, and I appreciate it. That's how we're going to revive it in this country.
Hey, I'm Jonathan. I'm from Wisconsin, and I have a simple question. You seem like a young guy. I'm a young guy. I've seen you do tennis, post some push-ups. What's your max bench, and will you post a video?
How about this? I got you one better on me. We'll find out together while I post the video. Let's do it. 200, 250, I'm going to say. Let's see if we can't get to 250.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
There we go. There
you
we
deserve
go.
a president who can actually bench something with a two-handle on it. So thank you. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Val. I'm a recent college graduate planning to go through the police academy in the coming months. I just want to know.
Good for you. I'm proud of you.
I just want to know, what's your plan when you're president to fight the opioid crisis?
Yes.
Because growing up in Massachusetts, from a young age, my neighbors were dying out of an overdose. And to this day, we're seeing fentanyl in elementary schools from parents bringing it in. So I just want to know, what are you going to do regarding illegal immigration and just all of it, how you're going to fight it?
So there's two sides to this. One is the big one we can fix right away. Seal the southern border, period. Full stop, don't apologize. Use our own military to do it. If you're going to commit bioterrorism in this country, and many of these people, they're taking these pills, they contain fentanyl. They don't even know they have fentanyl in it. If you have to put a fentanyl in a Big Mac, you wouldn't call that an overdose. You'd call that what it is. It's bioterrorism. We're going to use the same methods. If you're actually going to kill our people on our own soil, we will use the fullest extent of our own military to defend our own sovereignty and our own children and our own border. That's half the story. Now there's the other half of this, which is we have a demand side problem in this country. One way we're going to deal with this is we got to bring back those mental health institutions that we closed in this country. And I'll tell you why we closed it. People don't know this story. It's actually because of pharma industry lobbying. I want people to understand this. Right? The pharma industry, when they came out with antipsychotics, wanted to shut down those mental health institutions because there were more people than available to take that first generation of drugs. We got to bring those back. And then we have to do something deeper. If you don't mind me asking your question, you look like you're of a younger generation, Gen Z here.
Yeah, I'm 21.
You're good for you. I'm proud of you thinking about doing what you're doing right now. More people in your generation, I hope, do. I think what's going on in this country is people my age, people younger than me, people in your generation, we're lost. We're starved for purpose and meaning and identity. At a time in our history right now when the things that used to fill that void, faith in God, patriotism, belief in country, hard work, family, these things have disappeared. And I think it's not an accident that you see the rise of, pick your favorite poison, right? Wokeism, transgenderism, climatism, COVIDism, Zelenskyism, depression, anxiety, fentanyl, opioids, suicide. These are symptoms of a deeper void of purpose and meaning in our country. And I think half the job of the leaders of this country is to answer who we are, fill that vacuum with our sense of purpose. That addresses the demand side of this. And together, I think we're going to have a country where people aren't turning to transgenderism or gender conversion surgery or opioids or fentanyl, but can look inside to say, this is who we are. We're proud of it. And that's how we're going to wake this country back up, including people like you on the front lines, showing that national pride, stepping up to do what you're doing. I'm proud of you for it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Take last two.
Great to see you, Vivek.
Last couple.
My name's Rob Fisher, and on January 3rd, I'll be taking office as America's youngest school board member.
Awesome, man.
Proud
Raise
to be
hell.
endorsed by Moms for Liberty.
Raise some hell. That's all I can say. Yeah, don't let him off easy.
Being the youngest Republican presidential candidate ever, with a president past 60 and a Senate looking like a nursing home, how do we grow a new conservative generation of leaders?
So I'll say one thing is people say you can't do term limits because it's 3 terms. I want 3 terms for Congress, 2 for the Senate, but you can't do it because that requires 75% of the people who you're trying to term limit out to vote for it. That's not going to happen. Here's my way of doing this. All right, pass this on to anybody you know. It's an easiest way to do this. At least grandfather in the people who are already there so that they can at least say, okay, these people don't vote. It's all about their self-interest. But at least when they get the heck out of their seat, then the next person that comes along is subject to that same term limit. So that's the way we get this done. You got to be a business guy. Think about incentives. That's the incentives of people. Use it back against them. And that's how we ultimately get those term limits back in. And I appreciate that question, man. We'll give you probably the final word unless this is quick, in which case I'll take one more.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Ramaswamy.
I love your tie, man.
Here. This was
strong,
from my
patriotic
mom's
tie.
wedding. My mom wanted us to all have her get married in this, so thank you. So
Good
my
mom.
question for you is, I'm a senior senator from University of Northwestern St. Paul Christian College in Minnesota, and one of the things that I do advocating very strongly for is against this toxic femininity culture, where we would rather sit down and deny the truth than stand up and proclaim it boldly because people's feelings are going to get hurt. So when I look at the modern media landscape, I see toxic femininity pervasively infiltrating how free speech operates. So I'm wondering, as president, what measures would you take to ensure that free speech is guaranteed even on the digital landscape?
I appreciate that, man. I think I'll say this is, the left is really bad with identity politics, but what we've actually learned is that anybody's going to use identity politics as a shield from criticism. Right after on the debate stage, when I said Ronna McDaniel needs to resign after 5 failed years of leadership, and I gave a clear, pointed requirement that I think Nikki Haley should release her tax returns as she demanded of Donald Trump. They said that I had a woman problem, and so I understand this. I don't have I have a corruption problem, with other people have corruption issues, but I'll tell you first personally for me. Actually, this is one. My wife is a little bit outside with our kids, but I married a woman. She's a surgeon who saves lives every day at Ohio State Hospital as a cancer surgeon, a throat surgeon, comes on the weekends full for the campaign trail. I married a badass would-be first lady, all right? I'll tell you that. She's a badass hero for this country. And it irritates the hell out of her just like it does to me when you try to shield and protect people based on their race or their gender. We don't need that in this country. And I think part of what's going on in this country is a war on boys and on young men who have been taught to shut up and sit down and do as they're told, as opposed to saying, be the person who you're supposed to be. God made each of us differently. That's okay. There are 2 genders. They're not the same in every way. That's a beautiful thing. Each of us has our own strengths, and we shouldn't apologize for that. I'm a father of 2 sons myself, and I think that we need to teach people to apologize. There have been points in our history where you've had to apologize, or other countries today that will coddle, that will make you apologize for being a woman, or points in our history 240, 50 years ago when you had to apologize for having the wrong skin color. Well, you shouldn't have to apologize for being a man or being white or being Christian or being Jewish or being whoever you are. You should be able to be who you are in this country. And I think that war on boys, that assault on men and the culture of masculinity in this country, I think it's something that's actually draining the lifeblood out of this country. I'm proud of you for asking you for it, and I'm proud of your mom for instilling in you the good values to be able to ask that question too, young man. I can't leave him hanging. Is that young man asking a question? I can't leave you hanging, young man.
Hi, I'm Jaden Rodriguez, formerly known as the Gadsden Flag Kid. And I
that's
had a
you.
question.
Oh, love this guy. You are the man. I love this. Thank you.
I'm a big fan. I'd vote for you if I could, but
The Democrats would let anybody vote, so.
True. But I had a question. How will you ensure that schools will respect free speech in the future?
Yeah, great question, young man. It's your generation. I'll tell you. When you tell people they can't speak, that's when they scream. If you tell people they can't scream, that's when they tear things down. And I don't want to get there as a country. And so the way we do it is by actually applying the law of this country. Much of what you're seeing, telling kids that they can't express certain ideas while other ones get expressed in the classroom, those are violations of the law as they stand today. And we got to respect the First Amendment. Now's the moment to remember that as conservatives. You got people equally prominent in the Republican Party as the Democrat who say that if you're going to use a social media platform that you need your own government-issued ID tied to it so the government can follow you for what you say. No, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. That ends on my watch. And I think that what we got to understand is the path to truth. It runs through free speech and open debate. So I'm going to do that for you, but I got something for you because I know you can do it too. I got an ask of you. You have an ask of me. I'll do my part. I have an ask of you. How old are you, man?
12. I'm about to be 13, spending my birthday here at America Fest.
I love that. Happy birthday, brother. I love that. You pump me up.
Well, thank you for everything you're doing for America.
Thank you, man. I got an ask of you. One ask of you before you go. When you find yourself, here's how we get our culture of free speech back. It's not going to be me doing it for you. It's going to be you doing it for this country. Here's how. When you find yourself, and this is going to happen, I guarantee you this is going to happen to you. When you find yourself in a room and you are the only person who believes what you do, you have an obligation now more than ever to stand up and say it. And when you do that, I have a promise back to you right now. If you do that, you will almost every time find out that you were actually not the only person in that room who believed what you did. It's not going to be me. It's going to be you. And we're counting on you. I'll use that to wrap. I want to just say this in closing, guys. We're taught to believe that we're a nation in decline, that we're at the end of the ancient Roman Empire. I don't think we have to be. This young man gives me the hope to tell you this. I think as a nation right now, we're actually a little bit like him. We're all a little young, actually. Going through our own version of adolescence, figuring out who we're going to be when we grow up. And when you view it that way, actually, this young man's turning 13 here with us this weekend. When you view it that way, it makes sense again. You go through your adolescence, you do some stupid things. You lose your way. You do some idiotic things. I did, certainly. But we are stronger for it when we get to our adulthood on the other side. So no, I don't think we have to be that nation in decline. I think it's our last chance for me to actually come here and tell you this, but I think we can still be a nation in our ascent. I'm not going to tell you it's morning in America. I'm not that guy. It's not morning in America, but it can be. I'm not going to tell you the American dream is alive and well. It is not. It is alive and hanging on for life support. But it can be. And so if you all do your part for this country, you're here, that means I know you are. If you all do your part, I promise you, my family and I and so many other people who are speaking to you here too, we're going to do ours. To make sure, not in some
cheesy politician way, but in a true way, make sure that our best days are still ahead of us, that we will look this young man in the eye and tell him and mean it, that this is still the country where no matter who you are, or where your parents came from, or what your skin color is, you know, or how long your last name is in some of our cases, that maybe not his case, but that you will get ahead in this country with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication, and that, you know what, young man, you are free to speak your mind at every step of the way. That is the American dream. That is what we are running to. And with your help, that is what we are going to revive to save this great country. God bless you. God bless your families. And may God bless our United States of America. Thank you. USA. Thank you.